Hi there, in this tutorial we're going to look at brushes where we take kind of ordinary lines like this and give them lovely cool artistic brush strokes. They look hand drawn, we're going to add wings, we're going to add a crown, we're going to make a star, okay, we're going to fill the star, all sorts of awesomeness in Adobe Illustrator. Let's go and do that now. Okay, so it's time to use brushes, and yes, in between videos, if you're following along, I went back and made my flames a whole lot cooler and my arrows a lot nicer just by redrawing them with the pencil tool. Okay, I couldn't help myself. So what we're going to do is brushes. First of all, we need something to add the brushes to. Okay, so we're going to grab the pencil tool and let's add kind of like wings to her. So I'm going to do them in lots of little bits. Now, the reason I don't do them all in one big go, you could, let's do one with one big go. Okay, so one really good wing, but remember, smoothing's on, so when I let go, it looks marginally better. I'm going to add more wings on this side, but I'm going to do them as separate pieces. Okay, and I'm just going to show you the difference really. I'm going to draw some circles. You can see that one there completed the circle, which is kind of cool. We'll just see how it works. Okay, we'll draw some little more half circles in here. Great. So with my black arrow, I'm going to select all of these guys. It's a little bit harder now because we've got things all over the place. So you might have to click one, hold shift. Okay, and keep clicking until you got them all, but I can kind of drag a box around all of these guys. Great. First thing I'm going to do is stroke is going to be white, and I'm going to open up my brushes panel. Now, before we open up brushes, it's nice, especially with the brushes, if you use a smaller size to get started with. It doesn't matter, you can do it afterwards, but let's get down to 0.25. Okay, really thin line. Now, your brushes, there's lots built into Illustrator. Okay, the basics are in here, but there are actually lots that you can go and find online. Often they're free. Okay, so window, let's go to brush libraries. And in here, probably the most exciting ones are under vector packs, these two ones here. We'll look at these two plus one other. Okay, grunge brush vector packs we're gonna do. I'm gonna move it off to the side here. I'm gonna drag the bottom of it so I can see the different options and click on the first one. Okay, and by default, it's gone back to 1 point, so don't listen to me. Okay, you can change it afterwards. Go back to something a little bit smaller. Now, you can see that's the smallest option for the drop down, and it's kind of cool. It kind of looks quite artistic, right? But it's still maybe quite thick, so you can actually just type in here. So 0.25 is kind of a hairline, which is quite small, but I can go to 0.05, hit return, okay, and again, quite small. I can click off. So yeah. Cool. So the difference really is, now we're just looking for things that we like the look of, right? So I'm just going to draw a box around these guys and shift click these two to get rid of, I don't even know what that is. That was a smiley face I drew earlier. So I'm going to shift click all of these. I've got them selected. I'm going to go to a white stroke. Okay, I'm not going to worry about the size yet. I'm going to pick one of these other ones. And you can see, let's have a look at one of these ones. Okay, there's a couple of things that we need to be aware of, is that because this is such a long line, it's trying to smear itself down quite a long part. Now, some of the problem is the size. So I'm going to turn it down to 0.05 like the other one. Okay, and it's looking better, but it finds it hard to what to do at these corners. Okay, because it's kind of like a really detailed vector brush and kind of has to go in and out and kind of does some weird things. So ways to get around that, if you've got a really long stroke and it's doing strange things at the edges, I'm going to go up to maybe not 1 point, but back to 0.25, just to show an example. As we did this earlier, remember under stroke, okay, we've got these butt caps and the corner options. So let's go to round join and it will try and kind of get around the corner and the ends of it as well, which does absolutely nothing on this brush. It does on different brushes, okay? But this is kind of one of the things you can do. You can see the miter join here is just trying too much to get around this corner, but when I get to this rounded join, it looks marginally better, okay? So you might have to play around with this depending on the brush you pick. So what I like to do when I'm using the brush tool is use these kind of like shorter strokes because they tend to have a better result. Selected, let's have a look at these guys. Pick one, Dan, pick one. All right, that'll do. Cool. So I've got my kind of drawing exercises, those guys done. Let's draw one more and look at some of the other brushes, and that'll kind of give you an idea of how to go off and find your own. So I'm going to grab my pencil tool again. I'm going to draw, she's going to be a princess. Remember, I'm going to draw them in separate strokes. You can't really see them, so I'm going to undo them. So before I start drawing, I'm going to have stroke, but I'm going to crank it up to say 1 point so you can see what I'm drawing. So, yep. She is not a princess. She's more like, I don't know, some sort of, maybe that's what it needs. Totally what it needed. Now she's a queen. Okay, let's grab the black arrow. I'm going to select all of these guys. I'm going to show you another one. So another cool one is under brush libraries, vector packs, and this hand-drawn brushes. I'll let you explore those ones. Some of the other ones, lots of these are really, lame's a strong word, but lots of them are lame. Artistic has some really good ones though. So if we go to maybe chalk, charcoal, pencil, or ink, these go quite cool. Click on ink. I want to show you ink because these have some, instead of just solid black, they have some kind of like textures to them. Can you see it's kind of, they're a little bit transparent. Now again, I'm going to have to turn the stroke down to something a little bit more useful. But where they start overlapping, they start adding kind of extra depth. And yep, the reason I want to show you this one is you'll run into brushes that have this line along the top here and you'll be like, oh, awesome. They do weird stuff. Okay, these meant to be used as just kind of like one-off. So I'm going to undo and I'm going to pick, say, this one here. And then I'm going to click off. These guys here, if I drag them off, okay, it means that I can, for some reason, if I drag it across this image here, they're kind of disappearing behind it, which is kind of weird. So I'm going to drag it up the top here. And they're just meant to be used as elements up the top, okay, just as like separate things by themselves rather than following a path, okay. And what you can do, like with this guy here selected, he's lots of different options. I can right click them and go to ungroup, okay, and you can keep ungrouping them, okay, until you get kind of the individual parts. It takes a little while. Okay, the shortcut might be handy. Okay, we're almost there. Right click one more time, ungroup. Okay, and we start getting individual elements. I can select you guys and make you white. Awesome. So yeah, that's how they're meant to be used, just as like single little options. Okay, let's look at the next part. Let's close down the ink brushes. And let's look at kind of like filling in brush strokes. So let's say we're going to draw a star. I'm going to grab the pencil tool and I'm going to draw, what's this? If I let go, you're like, where'd that line go? Okay, it's because I'm drawing with the pencil tool with a fill, but no stroke. So the line is considered a stroke and there is no stroke. There's a fill, but it doesn't need a fill. Okay, it's there. If I go my black arrow, you can kind of wave your mouse around and go, that's random line, get rid of him. And there was this circle here we found earlier on. I don't know where he's from. So I'm going to grab my pencil tool and just make sure you're quite purposeful when you're drawing. Pencil tool, pick a stroke color, doesn't need a fill. And I'm going to draw a kind of a starry thing. My drawing tool's helping me out. Okay, so with this selected, black arrow, select all of these guys. I'm going to pick a brush. I told you I wasn't going to show you any other ones, but I'm going to look at one more brush libraries. I'll use hand-drawn brush vector. So I'm going to grab him. Way too strong. Let's get down to a smaller, yeah, we're getting there. Maybe 1.5. Cool, so I've got this shape here, right? And I want to fill it in. Now, the trick is, I'm going to close these down, is I'm going to copy and paste it so I've got a second option. I'm going to keep the strokes there, but this guy here, these lines, okay, what I want to make sure is I want to kind of fill in the gaps. And what I should have done before I started drawing is I should have made sure they overlap perfectly. So we'll check that out. Over here, I want to turn it back to a regular line. So over here where it says brush, I'm going to say actually no brush, go up to the top here and pick this first one. Okay, just a nice thin brush. And they do overlap. So if you didn't do this, you're going to have to make sure that lines overlap at least a little bit. So with them all selected, we're going to go to our best friend, the shape builder tool. We're going to pick some colors for it. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and I'm going to pick a color. I'm going to use the color mixer. And if yours is like mine and it's defaulted to just black and white, which might happen quite often. Okay, with this selected, I'm going to go to this option here, okay, and pick RGB, which can't be done. So I'm going to pick black first, then go in here and pick RGB. Cool. So I can pick from any of these colors in here, and when I hover over, I'm going to say that's going to be filled with the green. Okay, I can fill in all of these guys. Now they fill in because they overlap. If they didn't overlap, they might not fill up. I'm going to pick another color. Yeah, cool. The reason I do this is I'm going to select all of these guys now, and I'm going to get rid of the stroke. Goodbye stroke by going U and going to no fill. These guys down here, left over. Don't need you guys. And I'm going to select this and put it back over the top. Okay, line it up. Cool. So it's just a nice way of kind of, I guess, adding fills to kind of hand-drawn rough stuff. Okay, Shape Builder tool is perfect for that. Just making sure that the rough lines all overlap. Now, one thing you might see or have noticed is that if I grab, like say I've got a line and they don't quite meet up. Okay, so I'm drawing some stuff. Here we go. So I'm drawing a square, but the gap is, I'm drawing with a brush. Great, Dan. Now select all of these, turn it back just to a regular brush. Maybe this first guy here. Cool. So you can see there's a big gap here. Okay, mine was probably too big, but you can also see if I zoom in, there's actually a little gap in between here. Okay, so what that means is that it shouldn't fill, but there is a little bit of freedom that the Shape Builder tool has. That's probably too big, but it's going to fill in these automatically. You can kind of adjust that to say like, come on, just give me a little bit more gap joining ability. And you do it by double clicking on the tool. Double click on it. Okay, and up here, there's the gap depth. Okay, so you can go in here and go from small, okay, through to large. Custom, you can make it huge. Okay, so I think by default is it small? I can't remember. Okay, but double click the tool to change it, and it just gives you a few different options. Like this one here is not going to work because it's way too big. If I go in here and I say go to large, is it still not going to work? It's not going to work, too far apart. Okay, but you get the idea. All right, I'm going to delete those, zoom out, marvel at my awesomeness. Okay, but you're getting the idea, right? We're doing hand-drawn stuff and then adding brushes to add a little bit more realism to what something is actually vector and scalable and beautiful, but can look quite custom as well. Okay, so now it's project time. Okay, so I've got an image that I want you to draw on. Okay, it's under, I'll show you it here in the exercise files. There it has appeared. Okay, and what I'd like you to do is I'm going to set you a task. I want 5 separate doodles. Okay, can all use the same stroke and kind of brush style, but I want 5 things. Okay, and if you're looking, if you're like, what am I going to draw? Come up with a theme. Okay, this could be, you could use a holidays theme. So there could be holiday stuff like sun and beach things. Okay, or you might go finance. Okay, it might be dollar signs and graphs and stuff, just to give you an idea, I guess, to what to doodle and draw on this. And what I want you to do is experiment both with obviously the drawing tool, but look at the brushes as well. Maybe you look at dotted or dashed. Okay, it's up to you, but I'd love you to go off and have at least 5. And at the end, I'd love as a project, okay, to take a screenshot or save it as a JPEG and send it to me as a project or in the comments. All right, I will see you in the very next video.